Welcome to today's first Chesapeake Chat session. I am Ron Therian, first Chesapeake's Director of Programs, and I'm here to introduce the first Chesapeake Chat sponsored by Newport News Shipbuilding. Tonight we're going to talk about some creative ways that teams are trying to start to meet in these crazy times, in essence. But for a little bit of housekeeping, we basically are going to let each one of the speakers to have, a few minutes to actually introduce themselves, their team, and what kind of team they are, because we have some school-based teams and some community-based teams. And then after they're done, we'll be able to answer questions after each one of them has some time to talk. But we're going on, you can actually type any of your questions as you think of them into the chat, and we'll get to them after everybody's introduced themselves. Okay. All right. So I guess I will start. I'm just going to kind of go down here on it. Jeff, can you go ahead and introduce yourself and your team?
Yes, Jeff Cagle, and from Team 5233 Vector. We've been active since the bowled over season, and we are looking forward to going into this new and larger forum. We're a little nervous about what it's going to mean to be competing against so many teams.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing, to start meeting already, or your thoughts on that?
Our school is doing a hybrid plan where we have Monday, Tuesday cohort and a Thursday, Friday cohort, and a couple of students that are online. Some of them are international students. So we have a student from Korea who's one of our main coders. And so we're trying to figure out a workflow whereby he can do coding, upload to GitHub, testing can happen, he can make changes, so on and so forth. It's crazy stuff.
How many students that can meet in a cohort? Or?
We have a total of 13 in the team, and they're split almost evenly.
Okay, that's good. And I guess, Cece, how about you go next?
Go ahead, Cece.
Hi, I'm Cece. I'm from Team 7182 Mechanical Paradox, and we're a team comprised of all homeschool students. So for us, things are slightly different than like the school situation, but basically what we've done is we started meeting in early August virtually. We've tried out different platforms such as like Hangouts, Zoom, and now we're using Discord to do calls and handle outreach events, and anything that can be done virtually, we're trying to do virtually. But we've also then made an Excel spreadsheet where we put in all of our schedules because they've shifted slightly due to the current state of things. And then we decided to pick times that we would meet to work on things that have to be done in person, like the mechanical work. And we're doing 3 meetings a week, but each team member only goes to 2. And so we're a 6-person team. So we have one meeting that is all 6 of us. And then the other 2 meetings are going to be 3 and 3, so that we can kind of keep them distanced, and we'll be wearing masks in the meeting and working. And we're also using this to our advantage, where we'll have the software team all meeting together without the hardware team to kind of allow us to make progress in software. And then we'll have the hardware team meet without the software team for one of the meetings.
A question in there, you talked about outreach. What kind of outreach are you guys doing? I mean, one of the things I get a lot of questions from are people can't, normally they use outreach at this time of year or even earlier to recruit new students. And that's I think a lot of teams would like to know what are some of the ways some of the folks are trying to recruit new students? Because you couldn't do it from, schools or a lot of places. So you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. So with outreach events, we got together back when schools first closed down, back in March, I think. we got together with a couple other teams in Maryland and decided that we got on a call and we decided we wanted to start a program called First Online, where we're basically teaching classes to kids via Zoom. And we've opened it up to other teams have come in now and started teaching the classes as well after we review them, so that it's kind of a platform where kids can go to teach classes and kids can go to watch classes and look for things. We're actually prepping for a big restart of that with kickoff. And we've also done things like we've gotten on calls with some of our sponsors. We normally like to engage with our sponsors a lot and like publish videos helping promote them and also just get to know them a bit more and learn about what they do. And so we've gotten on calls with them to do things like that. And we've filmed videos where we'll write the script and then we'll each record ourselves speaking and we'll compile it all into one video to publish. We're actually next Friday going to have a call with a naval engineer so we can learn about the STEM community some because normally we would be touring STEM companies. So instead we're setting up these interview type things where they talk to us and then we ask them questions about what they do to learn more about the STEM community ourselves.
Can we move on to Ed, the library bots?
Hello. So yes, my name is Ed Doherty. I'm the library bots. We're a community-based out of the Chesterfield Public Library. So for us, the season ended rather abruptly, I think, similar to everyone here. And we started conducting Zoom calls immediately with the team. We met every week. And this was just for us to get together, kind of do robotic stuff. We did some trainings. Helped us actually learn how to conduct events, limitations. Sometimes that 40-minute, if you guys run into the 40-minute timeline on Zoom. So we started doing that season. We did some trainings, but we also found out it became a great way to keep the team together. So we also utilize the Teams app. That's been a social. We use that for some engineering, and we were utilizing that over the summer. So we maintained a virtual contact, and we had very high attendance. I think it was just something where the team really wanted to stay engaged. So it helped us learn. Now we found a lot of limitations. So I heard Cece mentioned about Discord. We're moving to Discord because it's going to give us. We're entering what we call a hybrid season. We're out of the makerspace in Central Library, and that's not available to us, right? So we're actually, I see a note in somebody put in the comments here, is we're going to be meeting in a home basement. So we had to come up with a way of going forward. And the first thing we did was we surveyed the parents. And we had a good survey. We asked some questions and said, here, can you give us a response? How do you feel about this? What do you feel? Because until we got that answer, we weren't even sure we were going to go forward with the season this year. So once we got that, we had a lot of consensus on what we could do. And so now when we meet, we're going to begin a hybrid season using Discord. So pretty much the month of September, we're ready to go, but we'll be meeting online. About October, we're going to shift into where we meet once a week. And we had planned on doing this, but we're actually splitting our team into two teams. They're going to build two robots. We have Go Builder and Tetrix. So we're able to keep two separate set of tools, two separate set of equipment, and we're going to segregate them that way. And then we also have new rules where everyone has a shoebox. And that shoebox is your safety glasses, your masks, and everything you need to do. Snacks. The other thing is no. You keep everybody so they're together. Their stuff is separate, but then as a team, there's smaller teams, and we're going to keep them physically separated. Then through Discord, we're going to have some online, probably afterwards, because I thought Cece, she said, good point, is meeting once a week is not always going to be amicable, and we can go different groups, software, the programmers, et cetera, to meet. So that's how we're facing it, and our goal was to maintain the team until the makerspace becomes available to us. Okay. And I'll be happy to share if anyone has questions about what we've done. We will share everything that we have. Okay.
Okay. Bob, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, let me unmute myself. Yeah, I'm Bob Ekman, and I'm the head of the Rockville Science Center, but I'm also the advisor for Explorer Post 1010, which is a high school engineering program. And inside that program, we have an FTC Team 6417, the Blue Crew. And we've been doing FTC, I'm trying to remember, I think it was 2009, maybe 8, 9, I don't know, a long time. But we also have sponsored some FLL teams also. And we've been doing that for 10, 12 years. And I guess I'm a little more concerned about FLL. I know this isn't an FLL, but I have no idea how we're going to do it, how the teams are going to do FLL. But in any case, our FTC team, the biggest problem our teams have is finding a place where they can test their robots or where they can get a field. We had a field in the Rockville Science Center did programs in other people's places, like the library, Montgomery College, University at Shady Grove, and Johns Hopkins University, and in a lot of the schools, all of which are closed and probably aren't going to open until January, February, March, April. I have no idea. So we've really just written those off. Luckily, back in January, we opened a storefront in downtown Rockville, and then we closed it in March. So we opened, had two months of actually making a little bit of money, and then we stopped. They didn't stop the rent or anything else. We still had to pay all that. In any case, we do have a little space there, and I've been able to set up an FLL and an FTC and some other fields for our other programs. We also have, we'd also do Team America Rocketry Challenge or the American Rocketry Challenge. We also do we have a drone team, and we have a bot ball robotics team. So we have about between 10 and 15 kids in each one of those programs. Go on.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just a question about, are you going to be comfortable opening that up potentially to some other teams that are in your area to use that?
Well, that is true, and I don't really want to advertise it too much. We will the plan is each one of those programs, and I've been working with them in the last couple of weeks here. We think we can take upwards of 8 to 10 kids. The space is 3,500 square feet, so it's a really big space, 15-foot ceilings. You know, you really feel like you're a big space. So we feel pretty comfortable that we could take 10 kids, say 8 or 10 kids. And what we did is we set a limit. We said 2 hours. You come in, you have to wear masks, wash your hands, blah, 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 all that stuff. Social distancing, I don't think it's possible for teenagers. I just don't. I haven't seen, I see teenagers all the time. Social distancing, maybe a foot, maybe 2 feet. They just don't. They walk up. We're in downtown Rockville, and I see dozens of kids, and nobody's social distancing. Most are wearing masks, though, so I don't know. I'll have to go.
Yeah.
Back to your question, would we take other teams? Yeah, but we're going to have to charge them because we have rent that we're not covering. And
sure.
Sometime, if we don't start making some money on these things sometime later this year, we're going to have to
close it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just a question. A lot of people are out there searching. I think one of the things that I'll just add is that, we're kind of seeing, as I even see it in my own neighborhood, as all the neighborhood kids, they're all out doing stuff together anyway. And that's why getting them together to build a robot isn't really it's nothing different than what we're doing.
We can see that when the kids are online, and all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of kids out in the street, and then they go back online again, and it's like, that was recess, I guess. It's all interesting. Right, well,
yeah. Can we move on to Henry?
Yeah, sure. Good evening. I'm Henry Bass. We started a nonprofit in 2012 called New River Robotics Association. We're located in Christiansburg, Blacksburg area, Southwest Virginia. And we started FTC the year before the nonprofit. So 4924 Tuxedo Pandas. We rebranded ourselves last year as the Red Beard Pandas. And we've actually been meeting in some fashion ever since COVID hit. I think a lot of the teams, the FTC teams, we adjusted our perspective. We said, everybody who went to state went as high in 2020 as they could go. That everyone competed at the top level because there was no Worlds. But we started immediately in April doing 3D printing for PPE. That's what was in a big shortfall in our area. And the way we coordinated that was through a WeChat group where we would say, okay, the batch is going to be ready at 8 o'clock tonight. Who can take it? That sort of thing. So there was never close contact between us. We would, of course, sterilize in and out of the room and that sort of thing. So that got the group, those that were willing to come in and that sort of thing. That got us interacting and staying busy and staying active. In June, when first released the teaser for this year's mission, we had a virtual Google Hangout party type thing, and our kids got online and started kind of analyzing and taking it frame by frame and saying what they thought and that sort of thing. And in fact, June's teaser was delayed. I think first it was going to come out like June 2nd, and then they pushed that off to June 21st. So we actually got to do that twice, and maybe they did it again in July. We started meeting in person when Virginia went to phase 3, and our kids were able to get together. We'd spend about 10 or 15 minutes doing a teamwork challenge outside, social distancing, and even then we were wearing masks outside. So Coach Ethan did a really good job of putting together small teamwork challenges that they would work through things. And we started building a small mechanism. We came up with this idea to build a lead screw powered can crusher, so you could crush aluminum cans. And our folks had fun doing that and managed to trade off enough, still keeping the mask on, still keeping social distance where possible, and then just sanitizing in and out. And we took a break halfway. So we were meeting for about 2 hours at a time. We're fortunate enough to have kind of an office park that we meet in, where they've generously provided about 2,000 square feet for us. So we have an FTC field. We're also hosting 3 FLL teams in the space, and they stagger their meeting times apart. And we've got enough room to keep some good distance.
What are you doing for cleaning?
Yeah, so certainly
Self-cleaning?
sanitizing hands in and out, that sort of thing. Is certainly appropriate. Wiping down the surfaces, certainly at the end of each meeting, so that when we first started doing it, there was only one group meeting once a week, and so you knew that nothing was going to touch the room for more than 3 days, and that's a sanitary measure in itself. But as we increased and the FLL teams came, we started wiping surfaces down, as well as making sure that we were taking regular breaks to wash hands and that sort of thing. Plus, everybody's keeping pretty well masked up, and of course the screening process, making sure that no one's in a family that's vulnerable or exhibiting any symptoms, and staying in touch with each other.
Okay.
So in a team of about 12 kids eligible at any one meeting, we probably have about 8 there, and that lead up to what's going to happen this weekend has been a great way for us to make sure we have a solid team going forward. We invited folks. Look, you've been a regular attendee. You're engaged. We'd like to invite you to be on the full team. So it's a community-based team. If you haven't picked up on that.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna actually because Dan and Kirk, I'm gonna kind of skip over you guys simply because somebody from your team's already spoke. When we get to the questions, and if you guys want to chime in, that's totally fine too. But so I'm just going to go over in the chat, and kind of some of it is people sharing stuff with us. Some of them are questions, but here's one. We are Team 7171, a home-based team, and not comfortable hosting at home this season. Wondering how home-based teams are working out logistics this year, and how you're meeting and testing robots, etc. So one of the home-based folks want to take that. Anybody want to add to that or no? I mean, I think what some of us, and I'll kind of paraphrase what I heard from some of you is the fact that you are meeting in small groups and so on. I do know, in talking to some other teams that aren't necessarily on the chat part of this panel, have actually told me where they've split up the robot between or parts of the robot between 3 different houses, where they used to meet in somebody's basement, and now they meet in the garage or out in the driveway or whatever in smaller groups, so that that same group stays together building pieces, and they just shift stuff between groups. That is a question. I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that, but it sounds like you guys have come up with variations of that you're doing that are right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think if I could chime in, can you hear me all right? One thing that we'll be emphasizing is computer-aided design. That's something that certainly is a skill that the teams really are encouraged to learn, and this season will emphasize that even more. So trying to get the kids used to doing computer-aided design first to help develop what the robot looks like is going to be a strong component. And then, like I said, splitting up. When you do that, you can split up the robot into subsystems,
Right.
like a drivetrain or a mechanism, and then send parts home with different people if you're not comfortable meeting in the same.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, unfortunately, I think it's on a team by team basis, and how comfortable the students and the parents are as far as how close you can do different things. Henry?
Yeah, I would add to that. Don't forget your local chamber of commerce and other resources, because there's a lot of spots that have opened up because of COVID or were vacant before, whether it's a warehouse or a storage building or something like that. There is a economic benefit to having FTC robotics teams in your community, and getting the chamber behind us has been a big help as far as our team's been concerned, so that they can coordinate resources.
All right. Let's go on to another one here. There's this is Electronvolts team 7393, and they're talking about their 4-H club-based team, and some of the issues that it's on their screen there now, is some of the issues that they have to deal with as a 4-H team, probably no different than what some of the school-based teams are going to have to go through, following the school rules and getting pre-approvals and that kind of thing. Meeting outside seems to be the easiest way to get around these things. So if you have, I know some people have talked to me about putting a tent up like in their driveway, where the kids can actually work under the tent in the driveway as a workaround for some of this stuff. But thank you for sharing that with us. Next one here is home-based team. We have 2 members that are brothers, so we have the field and parts at their house. And we have 1 member, 3 years of experience, and another. So in other words, another one of these, I think that, innovative way of trying to get as much as they can, passing materials back and forth. Let's see, next one here. There's a team, I don't know what WASH Robotics is, but teams 9202, 13621, and 4970. So you've been around a long time, most of them. Working hard to figure out how to virtually meet because in person isn't an option. I would have a question for you guys. Is that are you guys a school-based team, or is it a home-based team?
I'm guessing WAHAs is a high school.
Is it the high school? Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, WA. Yeah. I guess what I would suggest is you guys contact me directly. And I don't know if we can you can put my email up on there, but it's rtherian, same as my name, at firstchesapeake.org. I'd like to talk to you guys directly about it and see if there's anything we can come up with, and even get some other teams potentially to help out with this. And then we've got another one here. The Lord of the Bricks, 7039. They're building with mask, face shields, sneeze guards at workstations, small groups, 1 to 3 kids working together, tops. And they schedule one-on-one build time with our less experienced builders and a mentor with each of them, obviously, so that everybody hopefully stays safe tool-wise as well as COVID. And then cleaning measure between groups. I'm gonna add, and that we got something else coming in. The other, I'll add something that I've been getting a lot of questions from folks at, and I'm just curious of what you guys have done, if anything, with it. Is some of the folks that have moved from that have the team like in their basement or in their house are worried about bringing the teams in and are trying to come up with waivers because they're worried about the liability issue of bringing the kids together and they all catch it or whatever. Have any of you teams actually had to do that? Or thought about doing that?
It is comfort level, and it's a lot of it is it's just responding to the individual and what are their needs and concerns. And so we have a family that's has an elderly person in their home.
Yeah,
they were comfortable meeting. We accommodated that. We said, look, we just got this 3D printer kit. Can you guys take this and make it a project and show us updates as you guys build this together? And that was perfect. It kept them engaged and benefited the team too. So
right.
I like some of the other ideas about CAD and dividing up parts of the machine and being flexible. At FTC, we've got a lot of flexibility. There's these teams that are up to 15 people. You're small, you're agile. You're not
right. You're not a 60-person team that like the FRC side has the larger teams. It's much harder to engage every student that way.
We didn't. So for LibraryBots, not that we have a liability contract or anything, but every year we have a student and a parent contract where we ask them to sign it, and it goes over the rules, expectations of what students, expectations of parents, your rules, it's things like we said, in the past with safety glasses. Now we've incorporated some of those new ones where we explain, hey, if you're sick, don't come. We're going to scan when you come in for, temperature. So we've tried to mitigate those things and concerns, and we've incorporated it with so we've taken something and just modified it for this particular year. So hopefully that helps to explain, maybe if other teams have that as well as these contracts. That's how we decided to approach it.
Okay. There's another question that's out there that I guess I'm going to offer this as a teaser for our sessions on Saturday. But the question is, somebody's asking is, with first delaying the world competitions, is that going to affect our season, and how's the season going to work, and so on? On the pre-show for kickoff on Saturday, we are actually going to talk about the season and when it's going to be, and how we foresee the season working. Our whole goal is we're going to run events. The size of the event and the level of it is going to vary depending on what current conditions allow. So, but we will talk about that on Saturday. So tune in at 11 o'clock Saturday morning, and you get to hear about it. I have one more question, and I guess I'm gonna something that I thought about from CC, because I've gotten some questions, and maybe CC you could talk about this. But one of the things that a lot of people have is, you talked about interfacing and interacting with your sponsors and stuff, and I think that's super important. But a lot of the sponsors now are looking for slightly different things than they were before, and I guess maybe you can talk a little bit about that, CC, about how has that changed for you guys as far as your interactions?
For us, some of it has changed in the sense that we have like a variety of sponsors. Some are like more local, and some are based outside of the area. So for the ones outside of the area, we've already been doing a lot of virtual interaction with them, where we do calls with them and talk to them about different things, and we do videos promoting them and such. But for the local ones, we've kind of started to integrate that. We did a presentation for one of our local sponsors that we were planning on touring, basically telling them about our team, what FTC is, and what we do. And like a lot of that has been, we've been reaching out and trying and seeing like how they're doing things now, and like if they wanted to talk to us about what they're doing, and if they wanted to hear how we've been doing, because we try and establish those relationships with our sponsors. But in general, things like the videos, we also did a website review for one of our sponsors. They were about to publish their new version of a website, and we went and called with them and stuff like that.
I don't mean to cut you off,
So-
but we're actually at the,
Yeah,
at the tail end here, and I need
Sorry.
to kind of wrap it up. I definitely appreciate, you sharing that with everybody, because I think interacting with your sponsors as much as you possibly can in these crazy times is all the more important than in a normal time. So, in closing, kind of wrapping this up, I'd like to thank all the teams that have participated here, as well as the teams that have shared via the chats on Twitch what they're doing to do. So I'd also like to thank today's sponsor again, Newport News Shipbuilding. And we're going to basically have a short video from them to close us out.